Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. I'm Andrew. Today I'm here with Swag Dean. He's been our champion of Phase 3 Smash, and he's going to tell us all about it. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Happy Friday. I know a lot of people have been looking forward today. How are we doing, man? How are we doing?
Doing great. I'm glad to have this finally mostly done. It might be a little bit of fine-tuning after release, but I'm glad to have this project at the finish line.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of people patiently waiting, some not so patiently, but it's good that people have been so excited about this. So yeah, let's get right into this. We'll get the details out of the way as per we've done before. In the link of this video, we have the link to both the TTS JSON and the print and play PDF are both below. They will, for even when they're updated, we will update the links in this video so that they're single source. That's been successful in the other ones. So that's what we're gonna do. But for the rest of the day, Dean and his team have been working hard over the last quarter now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, take us away. Tell us about Smash Phase 3, what we're looking at. I know we've seen some spoilers this week already, but yeah, take it away.
So now that we've gotten, we had a video talking about what we hoped to do with this phase. Now we're at the end. I'd like to think that I was able to check all those boxes. My goal was to add 16 characters to bring us to a total of 50. We have that. I wanted to balance the colors and the teams, like factions. Every faction's going to have at least 7, but no more than 9. So, whereas in the past, you just had mathematically a stronger chance of getting a yellow villain, now it should be pretty much the same. You could pull any faction, hero, villain, except for neutrals, only 2 neutrals. But all the others, that evens out. We wanted to be friendlier to IRL builders this time. Now, looking back, the proof of concept of Destiny was just make good decks for each character. And then we were starting to stack up on certain cards. So trying to make these characters similar strength, but try to use some less used cards or lean more heavily on commons for things that are going to repeat. I just actually looked at the pull list. There's no card that you need more than 2 of that's not a common, and most of those are actually reprinted commons. So it should be pretty easy to put these together. So like that was friendlier for the IRL builders. And I wanted all of these decks to bring something unique to Destiny so that they're not, or Destiny Smash, so that they're not like a repeat of something that's already there. Because what we have there is pretty good. So these all had to carve out new space, and I think we have that.
Yeah, well, it's looking good, especially with the selection. Now, some people, I've had this splash up here for a little bit. And the big surprise, the one we hadn't spoiled until today, was Darth Vader, one we tried to make work before, and you guys were finally able to make him work. So why don't you talk us through Vader, how you ended up landing on that build, or kind of the story behind that?
So in the beginning, we were working hard on the pilot element, because a blue pilot would be unique. But the blue pilot ships aren't that great. We wanted to have some of the iconic Vader stuff, and other than Vader's TIE Fighter, none of the other Vader things really went with piloting. So once we switched to Force Powers Vader, where you have a lot of specials, but you can't have special chaining. Special chaining would make Vader way too strong. So he was just a tough challenge. You got 12 health, you have action cheating with piloting, you've got hard to mitigate dice, but you still want him to feel powerful. You want him to feel like Darth Vader. And so with his deck, it's got a lot of specials, which so he can still be fast, but the specials all do different things. They don't chain into one another. And he's got some impact cards like Abandon All Hope, which is always amazing. Like open a round, boom, dump your hand or dump your resources. Like we wanted him to feel like Vader's oppressive, but he has to be fair. And most of his dice don't redeploy. A lot of them are blue character only, so there's some limitations. So there's a couple things that rein in his power, and I think we finally found a place where Darth Vader feels oppressive. He feels good. He feels like Vader. He's force choking, things like that. But at the same time, he doesn't tilt the balance in his favor at all times. He can be defeated. He's not overwhelming, where it's not like fair if you have to play against him. And so I was pretty happy where Vader ended up.
Awesome. No, that's again, we were not able to get that to work on phase 2, and I'm really happy to have Vader in the game. I think we talked about that when you were on here before, that it doesn't quite feel like Destiny or Star Wars without a Vader, so it's really good that was able to work.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple iconic things up front that we wanted to try to find a way to get in, like the Millennium Falcon, which we'll get to later, is in Lando's deck. How can you have Star Wars without a Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
And some of these, so not having a Darth Vader would have been really depressing. And there's still some things we could talk about at some point with the things that didn't make the cut. And now, since this is kind of the end of the FFG era for Destiny Smash, that they're maybe never going to make it, I'm glad for the things that we were able to squeeze in.
Well, okay. So to that point, was there anybody who you were really passionate about that just didn't make the cut, couldn't work?
The one I spent the most effort on was Ahsoka. I tried Ahsoka with Built to Last.
So
the 811
Ahsoka?
The 811 one. The other one would have been single die, and I definitely took some experiments with single die, because there's a couple characters like Obi-Wan has never been in this range. If we go into ARH, that changes. But some iconic characters just were always high-costed. So trying to find a way to get some of those single die guys was possible. And I did take a run at Empire at War Ahsoka, because you have the ability to pay and re-roll in. So like maybe because she only has the single die, it would only cost you 1 to bring her back in. Like, is there value there? There wasn't. None of those experiments worked. But Ahsoka, I tried, like I said, with a youngling, with Built to Last, just couldn't overcome her modified sides or her low health, or like you just had to get a lot of tricks together, and I gave both of those a good push.
Yeah, and you'd only have one copy of Knighthood, right? So yeah.
See, so we added Knighthood. We added the what's the support to use in the Death Star build a lot, where you can auto turn it to one side to get a base side. Lightsaber training staff we played around with, like lots of ways to try to, but you were working so hard to mitigate her lack of base sides, and she just stranded them all the time. Even you give her with the legacies where you can resolve them modified as if it's a base. Like we gave her all those tricks, and it was like most of her deck was just tricks to try to compensate for the fact that she's got all these modified sides. And I had games where I created the situation where I had the youngling, the promotion card where she becomes a Jedi right off the bat. And even in those games, she was stranding modifiers a lot. So she would get the one free resolve, but then the other one would just be left out there. So couldn't get Ahsoka to work. So I tried quite a bit on her. So, and then single die, there's a bunch of fun characters that would have been nice to get in. Just couldn't make it. The closest one I think was probably IG. I cheated with IG and gave him Retribution. So if you removed his one die, you'd get pinged. And then because he has the Resolve Bounty Hunter, like giving him Bounty Hunter supports and giving him Bounty Hunting Mask so that his partner could potentially be used for his power action, and his power action would be resolved against multiple people. Like it kind of made his single die feel like more dice, and he was also terrible. So all those experiments were for naught.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, which character are you most proud of, or maybe there's not just one, but Which ones are you most proud of that did make the cut?
A lot of these feel like my baby in a way. There's a couple like Savage that I always tried to make him work. When he came out, I was just trying. He's got 13 health for 14 points. He's got over 50% damage sides. He kind of forces you to go fast, which isn't always a bad thing. I tried to make Savage work so many times, and then here in Smash, I think we found a way to make him work. He's got pacing problems because you have to activate him first, and he's got money problems. He has no resource sides, and he has a pay die. But he's got 13 health, and his pacing problem, we just tried to make it so that his pacing problem becomes your opponent's pacing problem. If you don't activate right after Savage activates, then he can play Snare. Mm-hmm. Or he can also play Force. If you have Force Pull, now if you don't activate, he's going to activate you and resolve your best die against you. Mm-hmm. We tried to give him dice that can be played not just, because he exhausts himself immediately. So you have the Crafted Lightsaber, which is a really great value die that you can play on him, but also Recurring Nightmare, which actually I found to be a lot of fun. You play that on whoever's going to survive the longest in your opponent's side, and they can roll in their own death. Like, they can get nervous about actually activating themselves because there's an over 50% chance of damage on that die, and you're just giving it to your opponent when you activate. So I think Savage has worked pretty well, where his weird quirks still kind of work for you, and it makes things difficult on your opponent, where they also have to pick up their pace, or you're going to fall behind.
Yeah, I thought Force Pull. That's the activate one. Yeah, I thought that one was pretty spicy. Crafted Lightsaber I thought was good too. So I think that's a really solid list.
The other ones, all of his dice are 2 cost or less because he has money issues. Ancient Magic's just giving like a single, cost upgrade to get out there. And we also, because we couldn't get, so with this, like every faction that got significant card pool support in FFG, we tried to have represented, and the Night Sisters, we were kind of able to get represented with Asajj and Savage. So while we didn't build a Talzin deck, we don't have a recurring old DACA zombie deck.
Thank you.
We were able to get some of those downgrades and some of that like flavor stuff into those decks, which I think was good. So it's kind of represented, and a lot of them actually perform really well. We have Hex in both Asajj and Savage, and Hex just does work in this format. It's an amazing downgrade. And then playing Dark Magic, where you get to reroll their dice and they get the free damage if they have a downgrade on, and a couple of those characters have them. A couple of downgrades, and they're worth playing. We also got Fear and Dead Men in, which was I got to pull off the other day, which was a lot of fun. So Savage is probably my most fun to operate out of this set. I really like playing Savage.
Cool. So talk to me about the. There's 2 teams that are multiple characters, kind of in the vein of the First Order. So talk to me about how Commando Droid and Battle Droid. Oh, there's 3. Commando Droid, Battle Droid.
Gungans and
Gungans
Ewoks.
Too. Gungans, that's right.
So
yeah, talk to me about how those evolved over time.
We didn't originally intend to do that many. The last edition was actually the droid one, where I had something else in play and then put this one in instead. What I like about the droid one is that most of that deck is actually from that Grievous starter, so it should be cheap and easy to procure. But there's lots of red droid support in the history of Destiny. There's been battle droids of some kind around for a while, so it was nice to have a thematic deck that still had a bunch of like unique cards, even though it feels a bit like Faust when you're playing it. It's a whole different set of cards, which is nice because the E5 blaster operates like the F11D that they have. You get the Assassin Droid, which is definitely spicy, and the Commando Droid, Battle Droid being able to activate together, I think was nice, just for speed. Like, it just feels like a single character as far as speed, so it doesn't slow you down even though you're going to be 3 wide. And So that one was an exciting late edition, and then I didn't actually have to tweak that one that much. That one came out and just kind of worked. And the Ewoks and Gungans I had in pretty early. I was pretty sure that was going to work because you get 3 die to start. So even if they're not great dice, that just having more dice was going to matter. And they have resource sides, they all have damage sides. So they should be able to ramp and kind of do what you want to do. And we gave them a couple impact cards like Vandalize. Vandalize, actually, if you sleep on that one, they pull the Jar Jar and the Gungan die and blow up your 3-cost support. That's pretty impactful dice that those Gungans represented. And that deck is also a lot of fun. Jar Jar was always a silly character to build around, but he often was a decent value. You get the soft mitigation with him activating. He still has, like I said, his dice aren't terrible for the value, and gave him some decent dice supports, and with some being pretty potent. If you can get the Runaway Boomas or the Gungan Catapult going, they really start to pump damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Boomas are good. Yeah,
they're legit. Like I said, you have to get the money. Once you can get the money together, though, they can really start raining in some damage, and they can absorb a fair amount between the 13 health of the 2 Gungans. And same with the Ewoks. There was a lot of Ewok support. They won a world championship. It would seem to be, weird to not have them represented somehow. And I originally tried with Chirpa, and I forget who suggested switching to Wicket and the recurring traps. But once we made that switch, it really started clicking together. Wicket with those traps is legit. You can either get free soft mitigation every time he activates with the one trap, you can get damage when they activate with the other, or you can get removal. And, kind of depending on where you are in the match or which ones you've drawn, there's almost always one that's useful at that time. There's a lot of spicy stuff just with Ewoks just naturally, and we were able to get a fair amount of that in there. But obviously, it's hard to recur if you get the one cheap Turva Hut. Probably, if you get in one extra Ewok warrior, but it's not going to be, a slog to have to go through a whole bunch of them, which is nice.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out because Smash games tend to be a little longer. So Chief Awful's hut might actually not be as awful. So yeah, we'll have to see. Because 4 health's not irrelevant. So.
Yeah, it's worth getting if you can get there. Although I found with them, I just like looping the traps, getting some of the decent weapons, the Ewok bow or raised staff down, and then once you have the Vibro Cutlass down on Wicket, because Wicket's almost always the last one. Most people kill the Ewok warrior first, and then they'll kill your partner, and Wicket's always last. And Wicket with a Vibro Cutlass is legit. He's rolling in, he's throwing a trap on you. And then if you can do like a Ewok ambush, get an easy resolve on the Vibro Cutlass, real quick, Wicket can finish a match.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, let's take some time and do some shout-outs. There was a lot of people who contributed to this effort, all DC Team folks, but do you have any specific shout-outs you want to give to people on DC Team or otherwise?
We definitely have Bassmaster is like kind of the mad scientist of the team. He put together Maz, especially, and most of these guys put together pitches for a couple different characters. So it's like Sparks Nevada was helping. Blind Squirrel. A couple of these decks were built off of things that he put together. Actually, it might have been Blind Squirrel that helped with the Vader, switched into Force Powers. Me and Blind Squirrel put together Wedge. Those are the main guys that spent a lot of time putting them together. Cremesto helped a few times in the beginning, vetting some of my wilder ideas.
It's all about the testing reps, right? I mean, pumping out decks is easy, but getting the testing in is hard. So, for all the guys who popped in and play tested, thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, and especially because we wanted to start kind of wild in this set, where we wanted to use less conventional dice. We wanted to be hard thematic, things like that. So that made the testing a little harder. We're putting in weirder stuff and then trying to figure out, is this weird? Is this too weird? Or can we make this work? Or do we need to settle it down? So it was definitely a challenge getting these decks together, because we felt a little bit more restricted by going hard on making them unique and easier on IRL builders. Like, those two restrictions did make it a little tougher for some of these decks to kind of naturally come together, where if you just gave them, like, the obvious mitigation and upgrades for their type, it would definitely be easier. So we made it harder on ourselves purposely, and I'm hoping people will still be happy with the result.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would think so. I do think the challenges that you guys faced in Phase 3, with having most of the easy stuff picked over already, and then having, because I mean, yeah, like you said, that's what we learned kind of the hard way. And I mean, in Phase 1, it wasn't even on our radar to manage the card pool. Phase 2, we were sensitive of it at the very high level. But then even things, I mean, Smash kind of surprised us, I think, in terms of popularity, right? I mean, Riot Shield went to $15. So you guys had to think about stuff like that too, right? So
we have one Riot Shield in here.
Yeah, I mean, it has to go on Phasma. I mean, it has to.
Had to. Yeah. And we, there's one Easy Pickings. It's in the Ewok deck, and they needed it. But we tried to stick away. I think you're going to see the prices go up, and this is your warning. Forsaken it was $4 when I last checked. There's 2 copies of Forsaken in here. The price of Forsaken is going to go up because that's not a super common card for the uncommons. And Flee the Scene. We have 2 Flee the Scenes in here. That's another mitigation card that is not expensive now, but it's going to move up. So get your copies now. We have 1 Entangle in the set, which is in Lando. But we tried to cut down on a lot of those cards that have gotten bonkers expensive.
And like Crash Landing, I think, is in this. So I think we're at 3 Crash Landings, I think, across all Smash. Don't quote me on that, but...
Is that one getting... I thought that was still reasonably...
Well, it's a starter card is the only reason I mention it, right?
Yeah, so most of the time, if it was cards that were less than $1, I was usually not fretting it. But the ones that were getting up into $10, like Hidden Motives, things like that, where people were, buying up copies of that starter kit just to get a Hidden Motive. I was like, okay, let's try to get away from that card. And Undermine, that's one I think we use Undermine a couple times. It's it's a good villain event that we put in a couple decks that feels pretty good. It's more situational, but it is removal, and it's 2-die removal. So it felt similar power, but it was a more acquirable card.
All right, great. Well, there you have it, folks. It is the 30th Phase 3 Smash available as of right now. So check the links below. Like I said, that's where if we have to make iteratives in the future, we'll update these links. So make sure to bookmark this one, and you can come back there. And yeah, I don't know. So any parting? Well, first off, let me thank you for kind of taking the reins of this project. And I know you've put in, because I've seen it in the Discord. I know you've put in a lot of hours and effort. So thank you on behalf of myself and the community. Really appreciate it.
I enjoyed the opportunity to be the director Krennic to your Grand Moff Tarkin and finish this project.
Fair enough. Does that mean I'm taking credit at the end and blowing you up?
It says Dice Commando on there. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
It's all your baby from here. Just I got to finish up this last phase.
Cool. Well, we will see where we will see where Smash goes in the future with the future of Destiny. But do you have any parting thoughts or parting shots before we get out of here?
I'm happy to see that it looks like Smash is becoming the go-to casual format, because draft is dead. I mean, some people do little draft events if they find a box cheap, but the community sets aren't. It's hard to support draft without randomized packs that people can buy. So I'm hoping that this will fill that need. I see a lot of people that are kind of drifting away from Destiny, but then they're finding that this is a great way for them to honor the years that they spent Destiny. Like, we can take all the cards, we can have a nostalgic point, we can, as you said before, board gamify Destiny. We can put it on the shelf, we can bust it out whenever we want, play with all these different characters, and have a great nostalgic little time warp back to when Destiny was all the rage. And I'm hoping that there's a fair amount of that going forward, where people are still rediscovering it. It's a way to introduce people to the concepts of the game. It's a great way to play casually with friends, or if they're just helping get value out of all their dice, don't feel like they have to just walk away from their collection or sell it. That they can store it and have it with them. I'm liking that. There seems to be a good forecast for Smash going forward. That people are loving it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think with that said, everyone make sure to, if you haven't already, pretty sure most of you have, but if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, but leave in the comments what you guys think of Phase 3, what you'd like to see in the future. And by the future, I don't necessarily mean Phase 4 of FFG stuff, because I think we're about out. So let us know what you're thinking, how much fun you're having, and, your appreciation for what these guys have done. So with all that said, go Commando.
Go Commando.